It's Jeremy from Jeremy.net. So, as I'm looking at this page, there's a lot of expression and emotion going on in here. And I never did do a model sheet of character expressions for any of the issues of Morningstar. I've in the past with other comic projects, I've sat down, I've tried to do turnarounds for characters and do model sheets of them. And the problem that I've found is I just have a tough time staying on model. And that's a problem that I've had in the past. I've always just kind of said, well, I when I first got out of college, I tried to get work in animation, and the biggest problem I found was that I could not stay on model. Like I tested on a few different television shows, and you know, storyboard cleanup, storyboard revision. But my biggest problem is just staying on model. I tend to be kind of a loose artist, and I've never really had this skill to keep characters looking consistent from page to page and issue to issue. And what I'm starting to realize is maybe it's time to revisit those practices because inking with a brush, I've tried inking with a brush since I was a kid in high school, and it's taken me years and years, I would even say decades to get to the point where I'm like, oh, I've figured out what works for me. And that's something that now that I understand that, I realize that there's lots of things that I've always just said, oh, I'm just not good at that. And I've realized that I needed to learn better drawing fundamentals before I could do certain things or learn how to understand tools better. So now that I think I'm looking at the advantages of, I mean, I've always known the advantages of going through and doing a bunch of sketches of characters and trying to really understand them, all running them through their different features and the way they'd look, then maybe that's something I should revisit. I've always known it, even though I've said I'm not good at it. Before I get too far, I want to also mention something about this particular panel I'm inking right now. Now, this panel is packed full of detail. And if I were writing this comic for someone else, I probably would not do this panel if someone else were drawing it and I was just writing it. Because you've got this guy that I'm inking right now, his back is going to be ripped up and bloodied from the issue before where Lucifer was actually whooping this demon who um, blew up Ariel's saloon. And basically, you've got the other guy who's his partner. He's being caught by other angels, and Ariel's just waking up out of from being knocked unconscious. And you've got this thing of like the close up shot of her in the foreground. Then you've got sort of in the mid background the other angel struggling while he's being held, and then in the farther background you've got that one that's tied to that whipping post. And there's just a whole lot going on in that page. And that's something that I've been thinking about in terms of future projects because there's a lot of panels in here that are, or a lot of pages in the entire story. It's gotten more and more dense as the issues have gone on, and I've sort of moved on to using a little bit of, or not a little bit of, a lot of 9 panel grids. The way that, and I was thinking a lot about how the storytelling was done in Watchmen, but in Watchmen, even though there were a lot of panels per page, they were still telling things at kind of a consistent pace. Whereas with this, there's some panels I've got that or pages where I'm just cramming so much storytelling into one page. And it's the kind of thing that I think a lot of artists feel kind of restricted by. I mean, I know I would. If I were drawing this from someone else's script, it's that thing where they tell you only to have one action per panel. Like in this panel now, you've just got one angel struggling while he's being held. That's a simple action. The panel before that, you've got Ariel, hand on her knee, rising up, angry. That's a simple action. Whereas in the other panel, I've got all these multiple things going on. And I think I do probably a little too much of that in Morningstar. So I'm acknowledging I'm happy with it. I'm actually really happy with how that panel came out. I feel pretty proud of it. But there's a lot crammed in there. And I'm thinking in future projects, I may actually start moving towards what would be considered decompressed storytelling, but it's not that I'm dragging my feet just to drag my feet, but maybe taking some of these hyper dense pages and doing scenes that take place over like 2 pages and maybe spreading it out over 3 or 4 pages just so the art can breathe a little bit more. Not something that I'm definitely sold on, but it's definitely something I've been thinking about as I'm getting deeper into this series and thinking about what I'm going to be writing and drawing next. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please like and share them. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter to get a free digital comic at newsletter.jeremy.net. That's newsletter.gerimi.net. Also, visit my main website, jeremy.net, where you can buy my comic books, art prints, and more. There's also links to my Instagram, Twitter, and other social media accounts. That's it for now. Go be creative.